Take a second to think about the basic, everyday social media normalities. Tweeting, posting, liking, sharing. We do these things every day, sometimes all day. But what if I told you that all of these things have the capability to save a person's life? Would you believe me? No? Well, the Ferguson family would beg to differ. The events following Halloween night of 2001 could be described as a real-life nightmare for Ryan and his family. Growing up in Columbia, Missouri, Ryan Ferguson was an ordinary kid who stayed out of trouble, did well in school, and loved to play sports. This was all soon to change. Late Halloween night, sports editor Kent Heitholt was leaving the Columbia Daily Tribune when he was viciously attacked and murdered. Two janitors were first on the scene, Shauna Ornt and Jerry Trump. The two janitors were able to see two young men walking away from Heitholt's body. Ornt got a good look at one of the men, including his face, before he left the scene. She called 911 at 2:26 a.m. Shauna Ornt then helped police create a sketch, but Jerry Trump was unable to identify anyone. Investigators discovered a trail of hair, blood, and fingerprints at the crime scene, and yet the murder of Kent Heitholt remained unsolved for 2 long years. Then in 2004, a troubled young man named Chuck Erickson began to talk. Erickson and Ryan Ferguson had gone out to a local bar that night. Ryan clearly recalls the night. The two attended a Halloween party at the bar and then went home. However, Chuck Erickson began to have dreams that he and Ryan were involved in the murder. Eventually, word spread to police. When being questioned, Chuck had no actual independent knowledge of the crime. He didn't know the murder weapon, where the murder took place, or how exactly Kent Heitholt was killed. However, after police fed Chuck the answers to these questions, he would take the stand and remember the events that night. Ryan always claimed his innocence, repetitively telling police that he was never there and had no idea why Chuck was making up this story. In the 2005 trial, Ryan Ferguson stuck to his consistent story. However, Erickson's statements changed a few times. Erickson eventually came to believe his dreams were true, that he and Ryan had murdered Heitholt in a robbery gone wrong. Due to the fear that he must have committed the crime, Erickson panicked and agreed to a plea deal that would frame his friend Ryan for the murder of Heitholt in exchange for a lesser sentence for himself. Since none of the DNA found at the scene matched Ryan, police relied on key witness Jerry Trump. Trump took the stand and pointed to Ferguson, claiming that he was the man he saw in the parking lot that night, even though years earlier he was unable to identify anyone. After just 5 days of evidence, the jury deliberated. Hours later, they delivered their verdict. Ryan Ferguson was guilty of robbery and second-degree murder and would spend the next 40 years behind bars. Ryan was 19 years old at the time of his arrest. He has been behind bars ever since. Ryan is now 28 years old. Ryan's father, Bill Ferguson, knew his son was innocent and needed to do something about it. Since 2005, both Chuck Erickson and Jerry Trump came forward and confessed to lying under oath, the two main reasons Ryan Ferguson ended up behind bars in the first place, and now they have confessed that they lied. Since his conviction and these new findings, Ryan Ferguson has been back in court on several occasions. So, what does this mean for Ryan Ferguson? Bill Ferguson said he needed to do something, and he did not wait. He immediately went to social media outlets like Facebook and Twitter, and in no time at all, people from around the globe were becoming involved and also fighting for Ryan's injustice. Until April of 2012, Ryan had no chance of walking out of prison because of the original testimony. When Erickson and Trump took the stand and admitted that they lied at Ryan's trial, both men subjected themselves to perjury charges by recanting. Finally, things were falling into Ryan's favor. This is the ray of light in Ryan Ferguson's 40-year prison sentence. Now that you've heard this story, what do you think? Is Ryan Ferguson innocent? Was he involved with this murder at all? Is Chuck Erickson innocent? Is Chuck Erickson insane? Well, in an interview with ABC, Ryan Ferguson gave his answer to these questions. Do not think about the case too much. You will drive yourself crazy. There is one question we know the answer to. Bill Ferguson knew that his son was innocent. When the court would not listen to Bill Ferguson, Ryan's request for freedom was aided by an intense social media campaign. Bill Ferguson first created a free Ryan Ferguson Facebook page. Here, he would post updates on his son and the case in a continuous effort to raise awareness of his son's wrongful conviction. This Facebook page now has over 94,000 likes. Once word got out that Ryan's case may be overturned, Bill Ferguson kindly posted that people can tweet and hashtag their thoughts about whether or not the Missouri court should retry Ryan. Shortly after, thousands of tweets were being sent to Prosecutor Koster demanding that they finally let Ryan in peace to enjoy the remainder of his life. Also bringing in a lot of traffic was the Free Ryan Ferguson website. This site has all the information from the case, highlighting the main points that prove Ryan's innocence. This site also provides links to all of the different media outlets that this case has been featured on, like CBS's 48 Hours, NBC's Dateline, CNN's Out Front with Aaron Burnett, the New York Daily News, and Good Morning America. On the site, a link directed viewers to a website called change.org. Here, supporters have the opportunity to sign a petition against Ryan's conviction. Once the petition had over 250,000 signatures, it was presented to the court. This was a very important part of the review of Ryan's case. The media and supporters were so involved that they did not let the court rest. 24/7 media flow, mostly from Twitter, demanding for Ryan's freedom. This simply proves how powerful social media can be. Not only were Missouri locals aware of what was going on, but now people from around the world were involved and active. So, did all of Bill Ferguson's hard work pay off? Oh, yes. On November 12th of 2013, all the charges against Ryan Ferguson were dropped and he was released from prison. After 9 years, 8 months, and 2 days, Ryan Ferguson is finally reunited with his family. It can be said that social media was a driving force in the success of justice for Ryan, and ironically enough, after almost 10 years behind bars, Ryan walked out of prison with only a mere idea of these media outlets that aided in his release. He's never sent a text, updated a Facebook status, or used a smartphone. So if these social media outlets were dominant in 2001, would this trial have turned out different from the very beginning? Social media continues to take our world by storm. It is so simple to get your voice out. The Free Ryan Ferguson page has now been renamed Freed Ryan Ferguson, and it seems that Ryan has figured out the Facebook world as he continues to update his supporters on his new life journey outside of prison. I have followed this case for the past few months, and I cannot even tell you how excited I was on November 12th when I got the Facebook update that Ryan had been released from prison and all the charges against him were dropped. As for Chuck Erickson, he is still in prison, obviously. Ryan has made numerous statements saying he believes Chuck is innocent as well, so we will see what happens with that in the future. Along with more unanswered questions, we may never know who murdered the beloved sports editor Kent Heitholt, but CBS's 48 Hours will be airing a new story updating us on this case on December 5th, this Friday. Very excited to watch that. The social media audience is continuously growing, making it one of the most powerful tools in today's world. And with the technology we have today, it lies in the palm of everyone's hand. What are you going to do with that power?